Dear Google, when the Triangle heard that you were thinking about coming to our area, a group of volunteers got together and decided that we needed to do something special to show you just how much we want you here. So we got out in the community and we started a conversation. We asked people to remember the early days of the internet, like life before broadband or before Google.
Moved into the dorm rooms and they had T1 lines. I remember plugging it in and I was completely blown away by how fast this was. And immediately I called my mom up. She's a computer person just like me. And I said, next time you come up here, you've got to see this. You've got to check out this new T1 line.
I think back about like that first, the little day planner that was the handheld guy that, telephones followed the technology of that. And it's so interesting to think back and to think about, having a separate place where I kept dates and what was happening versus, the device that I used for communicating with folks who weren't directly in front of me. And at this point, we currently own 5 restaurants in downtown Raleigh. We've got management teams at each of them, and it's, we've come to rely so much upon, just the growth in technology and how we're able to just in real time constantly communicate about things that are happening in the restaurant, changes that we're making in the menu, unexpected things that might have happened that day.
So I remember getting online, I was like 12, probably 90, probably right when the web was starting, 92, 93. And at that point, I remember the web was accessed via this text mode browser called Lynx. And but most of my time was spent on BBSs, bulletin board systems. And I used to, I tried to at least try to have one myself using some software called Renegade BBS, which I'm still kind of fond of. And but again, the thing is, you couldn't really do the kind of real-time interaction that we're doing right now over Google Hangouts because there just wasn't enough speed.
Absolutely remember a time when there was no Google. I can remember the noise of the dial-up modem clicking in and allowing me to then potentially VPN to read my email and potentially go to Netscape to do some browsing. And that's what we used to talk about it back then, browsing. And when I was doing that browsing, it was all very URL specific. And so I was looking at different URLs that I knew of and doing some reading and research on very specific companies that I had to do reading and research on, doing email communications, and maybe some light web development.
My father was a radio disc jockey, and I grew up in that media environment. But back then, in his day, it was a rarefied environment. Very few people had access. He was lucky enough to have it. And I dreamed when I was a boy, wow, it'd be cool to be like my dad and talk to millions of people there. And now, I can do it from my living room.
When I was very young, I was kind of dorky. I didn't have a ton of friends, so I was a total computer nerd. My first computer was a Mac. It was an Apple IIe, and it was really old and yellow, and it had I remember a game called Crystal Quest, and I got really into it. And then a few years later, I got my first PC, and I kept upgrading it. And even today, I still have a gaming rig, which I use to play Skyrim. So I'm still really into technology, and it's come so far.
Yeah, I remember the BBS days like they were yesterday. I had a VBBS BBS, so it was a little bit different than Renegade, but very similar too.
I kind of missed the ASCII art. So I remember being unable to download images, so you would have to make the art using the relatively limited ASCII character set. But you guys have nice art. People really worked hard. I feel like it's almost too easy now sometimes.
And she didn't even know what that was. And when she finally came up, we visited, and I showed her, pulled my laptop, I showed her, Napster had just came out, and I showed her how many songs I was downloading all at once, and how fast they were going. And she didn't believe it. It was unbelievable of how fast I was able to download 100 songs, 200 songs, 300 songs all at once, without having anything stall out. There was no lag. There was nothing. It was we were completely blown away by it. Now, T1 is obviously way too slow for me. I need more. I want more. I have 50 megabyte download, 5 megabyte upload, the max you can have in your home. I need more.
You know, whereas I think 5 years ago, I was using up the bandwidth on sites, you know, and you know, the thought of really streaming was a terrible experience, you know. And I even remember when the 3G networks were out, and we were talking some of the mesh networks that we were building for some small communities, and one of the guys says, you know, do you ever try to watch a video over 3G? It's terrible. You don't want to watch it, you know.
Ah, right. Writing a letter.
Picking up your actual home telephone
Uh-huh.
and call somebody.
Yeah.
And going by to visit rather than getting on Facebook and doing a selfie.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you one question.
Okay.
Can you imagine your life without technology?
Well, I lived it without technology, so yeah, I can imagine it, but it wasn't so much fun.
How did you get things done?
Slowly. Very slowly.
Okay, so if you wanted to find a place called Earth Fair back in 1996, how would you have done it?
I would have gone to a gas station and asked them.
Go to the gas. I remember going to the gas stations and saying, "Where is that?" Yeah.
It also reminds me of so back when I first was working with Ericsson and the web came out in like 96, 97, someone from Bell South, when you said Bell South DCS earlier, it reminded me, but they, you know, we were talking about, yeah, you know, this World Wide Web's great, you know, the internet's much more accessible to people, it's not just these 2 or 3 guys in the basement, and she goes, oh, you mean our information superhighway?
Well, I mean, he said recently that he was not aware or expecting that the cat memes would take off.
It's amazing how far we've come in such a short time. Nowadays, technology is part of the fabric of our families. Mac, what would you do if your parents took away the television, the laptop, the iPad, and the phones for a week?
I would scream.
Like what?
Not only are we power users, like you said, but we have children that are entering the teenage years, right? If they're not there yet, they're definitely they're young power users themselves, and they're going to be more. I would assert that they're going to be more of a power user than even we are, because they're sort of, you know, they're beyond being a millennial. I think they're like this. They're this Generation Z that everybody's talking about, where they were born, you know, where everything is on the cloud. They don't understand how the internet works. I mean, you know, it's just magic that appears in an app somewhere.
All right. So do you guys use the internet?
We use every ounce of internet, I think, in our zip code. Between devices, televisions, tablets for the kids, all kinds of stuff.
Okay. So what if you didn't have internet? What would happen?
We'd actually have to talk to each other.
That sounds horrible.
It does sound horrible. We'd actually have to spend time with the children. No, if we didn't have internet, I don't know what we'd do, honestly. You know, I'm working on my business, Paige is working on hers, and we tend to try to, at least at the start, play with the kids, play with actual toys made of wood, cobbled together, but then eventually we just, okay, you know what, play with the iPad, play with the Kindle, play with anything that's electronic, and that also ties in to the Wi-Fi.
So if your kid given a choice of a wood block or an iPad, chose the iPad?
Yes, it's a close heat, but yes, some of our blocks are cool, but it always loses out to the Disney Channel.
I use Roku, Netflix, and PBS Kids.
And like what else? Amazon. Sometimes we watch.
And Amazon.
And then
think of WhatsApp for a minute, or all the new ephemeral messaging apps. I see my children using it in the same way. Like they create a file for a project and it's due in 2 days. They print it out or they email it and it's gone. They don't care about it. They don't even care about naming the file. Like they literally just use it to format the text that they need, insert the images, insert the drawings, and boom, submit it. And they don't care about the file anymore. So it's very much like the popularity of the ephemeral messaging apps. They're using, the behavior is the same. And the cloud and the bandwidth that they enjoy is what enables that.
When you're watching Phineas and Ferb or whatever, how does that show get to our house on the internet? Like, how does that work?
Well, there's a big line connected to this big tower which goes to every house, which making shows come on. These guys make the show, they program it to the big tower, and it brings it to us so we can watch it.
But how does it get through from the tower here?
Well, it goes all the way from the black lines all the way back into our cords in the TV, so then it's like we watch it, and that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Do you think there would be a market for wood blocks that are connected to the internet?
Without a doubt, I would love to be the pilot guy for that.
So do you happen to know what your current internet speed is?
4 gigahertz. No, I don't. All I know is that I end up calling my provider.
Which is who?
AT&T. So I'm on Uverse.
Okay.
And I was happy with Uverse initially. And now I think I'm just too lazy to switch around. But I have called them now twice in the last couple months because it just seems like all of our devices are crawling. You know, if the kids, or Paige and I, aren't on our tablets or devices, we're inevitably on Apple TV, which obviously runs through Wi-Fi as well. So we're pulling from a million different directions.
Yeah. So if Google Fiber came here, would you switch?
In a second. Yeah. Everything I've read, heard, we'd switch in a second. Like I said, I think I'm just lazy right now.
Yeah.
I'm just used to what I have with Uverse. But if that option became available from what I've read, we'd do it in a heartbeat.
Would you be willing to throw a Google Fiber block party in your neighborhood?
Yes, of course. My block has a lot of people that have probably never heard of the internet. But if they did, they'd be able to catch Golden Girls and a lot of other shows like that at blazing speeds on Hulu, Netflix, and all those. They would then have to obviously buy an Apple TV or Roku or one of those, which is a whole different conversation.
Mac, do you know who Sergey and Larry are?
No.
What do you think they do?
Make shows.
They make shows, Sergey and Larry?
Yeah.
So Mac, are you saying that if Google brings fiber here,
Okay,
you're gonna launch a show called the Sergey and Larry Show, and you're gonna star in it with August?
You and August will do the Sergey and Larry show?
Which one of you will be Sergey?
No, I'm Sergey. He's Larry.
Okay, scene 1 of the Sergey and Larry show. You're Sergey. And go. Talk to
Action.
Larry. Action.
So Larry, what do you think? Oh, I can't do this, and I just barfed on his shirt.
Larry just barfed on his shirt.
If Google Fiber brings as much data, you just laid in his puke, dude. It's right there. If Google Fiber brings as much data as August or Larry brings puke, then we're set.
We were inspired by how creative kids can be. So we had a little fun at your expense and our own.
I'm pleased to get to talk to you about Google Blocks, the internet-connected playthings of the future. There are 3 problems that I think of when we think about blocks. 1, they don't save themselves for reuse later. They're not self-aware. They don't know their relationship, whether a block stacked below or over or side or to the other side. And there's no easy way to share blueprints or collaborate remotely, whether that's with Johnny and Sally next to you, or Evgeny overseas, or Daisuke on the Pacific Rim. So we've come up with a solution. We've made a web platform for sharing and building collaboratively, whether it's your next-door neighbor or the person on the other side of the planet. Work isn't lost when playtime is over. When it's time to put things away, you can still recover when you pull them back out. And there are no more tears when the classroom bully knocks over all of the blocks. The blocks themselves guide reconstruction. There are 128.6 million babies born each year in the world, and 4 million of those are born in the U.S. Everyone needs wooden blocks. Google Blocks, the perfect complement to Google Fiber. It's a solution that just stacks up. It's Larry, it's Sergey, it's the Larry and Sergey Show. In Silicon Valley, car drives you. And internet rains down from above. Oh, hey Larry, what are you doing? Hey Sergey, I'm building a super long rope that runs from the Earth's surface all the way into orbit, making it cheaper to put objects into space. Hey Larry, what are you doing? Oh, hey Sergey, I'm making solar kites that draw energy from space to power our flying robots. Oh, hey Sergey, what are you doing? Oh, hi Larry, I'm literally ingesting pills that deposit whole knowledge in my brain. I'm trying to decide if I'll learn another language or take up nanotech graphene basket weaving. It's Larry, it's Sergey, it's the Larry and Sergey Show.
We talked about the internet in schools and met with a group of high school students that are actually volunteering out in the community teaching people about computers.
We help the community learn about technology and how to use it to their advantage, and we also help out in other community service projects around Raleigh, mainly with how to use technology and as a resource, and we also learn about technology ourselves, like coding and entrepreneurship and how to incorporate technology in our everyday lives.
Honestly, it would be great to have Google Fiber because I teach high school and I have gone completely paperless in my classroom. And I use straight up Google Docs for everything.
So the kids have to sign on to do their homework?
Yeah. Most of the teachers I know are doing that now because the budget is so bad in the state.
What grade do you teach?
9th grade English.
What kind of stuff do the kids have to do for homework?
I usually create a document and put a link to like a PDF because we're a little low on textbooks this year.
Oh, I heard they're going to cut out all textbooks by 2016. Did you hear about that?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I'm a bit of a computer nerd, so I probably spend a solid 6 to 8 hours a day.
Wow.
Most of my time, most of my free time.
More time on the internet than on TV, you think?
Yeah, just use the internet for my TV.
Actually, this past school year, I think last semester in English class, I had a research paper to do, and it was a pretty heavy research paper, like it counted for a lot. So I used Google to help research and things like that.
Cool.
Microsoft used to give away Office, right, to students for free, and it's the same thing. They wanted to be the dominating Office suite. Well, now I think Google has taken over that space because they've offered, not only is it free for a student to use, even just on their personal account, but now they have the disk space on Drive, and they also, it's in the cloud, so they can use it on any device, their phone included, and that's brilliant, right? My son goes to a magnet middle school, and he does all of his schoolwork in the Google's app ecosystem, right? On Google Drive now, and that's not even being mandated by the school, or it's not part of the school program like yours, Tim, but it may as well be because that's the best option for him to use right now. He wouldn't know what to do with Microsoft Word.
I had to type up an essay on this book called The Odyssey, and I had to do research online and see what kind of internet, what websites were trustworthy of using it, and where I could find out the right facts and get what I need to write this essay. And yeah.
The Odyssey, that's a good book. Do you think that back in the day when the Odyssey was written, that they could even have imagined anything like the internet?
No, not at all.
How do you think they got information from one place to another?
Probably just by talking and like spreading the word around the neighborhood, like rumors and stuff.
Do you think that that's still an effective way to get information around now that you have the internet?
It's still effective, but less effective because now since we have internet, there's been social websites that's been created for us to easily post something and upload photos of what we're doing and what's on our mind.
It's in the area about the program they're trying to
So you guys were going door to door, right?
Yeah.
And volunteering to help people with computers or something like that?
Yeah, asking them to do complete surveys to see like their computer skills, and they've brought to the community a free computer skill course.
Yeah.
And if they would be wanting to take a course like that.
Well, I use Google Docs quite often for homework. It's one of my favorite sources of internet use. Use it way more than any Microsoft Office products, so I can sync up all my documents online, access them from wherever I need to.
And is that something that your school uses a lot too?
Not really my school, other than the classmates I've convinced to use it, but no, most of them just stick with the basics, just Office. Yeah.
Maybe last month or a month and a half ago, maybe, I came here on a Wednesday and helped out a young guy actually, which was kind of cool because you don't really find a lot of young people who don't know much about technology, but I helped out a young guy who just wanted to figure out more about how to get around computers and how to get around programs and things like that.
What was he trying to do with computers?
It was mostly typing. It was a lot of typing work, and we did some Google search for images to put on Microsoft PowerPoint and things like that. We also did a Microsoft, what is it, where you can like make brochures and things like that.
Paint? Is it Paint?
I'm not sure.
Publisher?
Publisher? Okay, we
Who knows?
used Google to help out spice up the Microsoft Publisher a little bit.
Cool.
And at first they were using PowerPoint, so they're coming home saying, "PowerPoint, I need a flash drive." And so I actually told them to get on Google Docs and do it this way. And at first, the presentations of the tool of Google, they didn't like. I think PowerPoint's got a little bit better user interface, it's been around a lot longer. But nonetheless, I told them, I was like, no, you need to use this. You need to access it in the cloud.
One time I was helping a senior citizen learn how to type, which was really interesting because to people my age, typing and computers and technology, Microsoft just comes naturally to us because we've grown up with it. But it was really interesting to see them grasp the concept of using typing and just basic websites like Google Maps and Google Search to their advantage, and it just opened up a new world. You could see their faces just light up whenever they would get a word right on the keyboard or find their favorite place to eat on Google Maps. So that was really enlightening.
How do you think they would find a new good restaurant to eat at without something like Google Maps?
They would probably call someone. I heard that a lot. They would call their friend who would probably know, or they would ask someone younger to look it up for them.
But it is a common excuse. Like, my internet was down, so I couldn't do my homework. But if we had Google Fiber, I could be like, I know you have.
So internet is down is the new dog ate my homework?
Totally.
For 2 months, we went all around the triangle, just trying to reach as many people as possible and let them know what was happening with Google Fiber. We got in front of hundreds of people at events and hundreds of thousands of people online and through the local media.
There's been a lot of buzz about Google Fiber coming to the community, and a lot of people are asking the question, well, is there anything I can or should do, and trying to figure out where to go get information.
And then back. together, you were like, what's this whole social media thing? And now I would probably need to come to her and be like, what's this whole Google Plus thing?
And it's all about blogging. We
Yes.
were talking about blogging.
Yes.
Rep was here yesterday.
A Google rep?
Yeah.
Oh, no way.
Google Fiber rep.
What was she like driving the van or something like that?
No, she was just kind of going to see the underground and
Oh,
hanging
okay.
out, meeting
Cool.
whatever you want.
Thanks for joining us today. We're live again in the studios in the heart of Carver, North Carolina at WCOM FM LP. We have a real serious lineup today.
It's created a whole series of services that are being launched now from Kansas City. Wake Forest definitely has the intellectual capital and its people to be a town like that.
They went ahead and put down fiber capability. So they're saying it's ready. It's waiting for Google Fiber to come in and figure out what to do with it.
Tom from Nurture up there. What's up, Nurture? What's up, guys?
How's it going?
Good. I'm shooting a little footage for FIBEREDUP, the movie.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. You filmed a lot of different events and things that go on in the Triangle. Tell me about some of the experience that you filmed so far and just how much has the community come together to help make this project a success.
Easter outfits and bunny ears. Part of the reason we're here tonight, before we get underway with the Easter egg hunt, is we have the Google Fiber crew, the FIBEREDUP crew. Does everybody knows what Google Fiber is, what that would mean?
Fiber, bring that stuff to Raleigh. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Hey Google Fiber, bring that stuff to Raleigh.
It was clear that the Triangle is ready for a change.
So are you guys happy with your internet speeds at home?
No. Right. Currently, I've got 50 megabit downstream and 5 megabit upstream, and I'm paying about $80 a month for that for a business class connection, which is far below what a fiber connection would offer, and from what I've gathered in terms of pricing, far more than I would be paying as well for a much better connection.
But now there's a lot of other companies that are saying that they could bring fiber also, like AT&T. AT&T announced they might bring some fiber. Neither do I.
So neither they should.
I don't like them. I don't like Time Warner.
I have Time Warner right now.
Yeah, me too.
So something I have to deal with.
Yeah.
But see, I have a lot of trees around my house. So I can't get perception of direct or some type of satellite. So I have to go with I'm more interested in the reliable, decent pipeline at a more affordable price. Because I think the lack of competition is what's really kind of wedged us into the market, expecting it's just like cable and satellite. Why are we expected to pay $120 a month? Because quite honestly, the media companies and the way the pricing models for both cable and satellite are put together, it's not foreseeably possible to pay, even using an a la carte process, to pay less money to get even a handful of channels, just because of the way the marketing model works.
What can you guys do? Because right now I don't have AT&T option for internet. All I can do is Time Warner cable. I think I can get DSL through someone, but it doesn't look very good. And I mean, they've got like the worst customer service, I think, in the world. I think they've been rated like #1, at least them and the other cable companies. And it's a shame that it feels government supported, because I don't know how you can have such a monopoly over so much public land in such an area and it just be that.
So what's your favorite thing to do at home on the computer?
Probably surf the internet. I also work from home for a tech firm.
Oh wow. So you have to use the internet a lot for work?
Yeah, and over a VPN connection.
Ooh.
Often slows it down.
Yeah.
It is.
Those are the worst.
Yes. Yes, I'll go downstairs just to be like, no, my computer is definitely faster than VPN connection. But
so if you had faster internet, would that make your job easier?
yes, it made my job easier, and it would make doing things at home, surfing wise, much more fun.
And I don't know which of you, if any of you are using Verizon, but I mean they really are trying to lock things down, I think. And so I think that's one of the biggest fears on the broadband side of the house with Comcast, is that we're really worried about monopolies because we're worried about it becoming another AT&T, like AT&T was, decades ago. Bells, when it was the Bells, and they had to break them up. So I think we're headed to a showdown like that with the internet.
And thinking about what this could all mean for our future, whether it's the big picture or just everyday life and the creative projects that we're working on.
I think Google Fiber will give people the capability to do things that we don't even comprehend now or can imagine. So I think it will be very exciting to have Google Fiber.
How long do you think it would be before a gigabit would feel too slow?
It all depends on what's being put out in the market. How big are the files coming out now? Is everything going to be so high res, HD, times 2, to where our movie files are going to be 50 gigs rather than the usual 2 gig?
And it's hard for people to imagine exactly how much of a difference that could make. So I try to liken it to the shift from when everybody was trying to travel around by train or boat long distances, and then when the plane came and suddenly the whole world could get across the country in 5 hours rather than in 36 hours. It's that kind of a shift, and it's a really important opportunity for the Triangle, and that's why we're doing FIBEREDUP.
But currently I'm working on our first cookbook, which will be a book centered around Pool's Diner. So I'm communicating with an agent and an editor constantly, and sharing different, and a photographer, and bouncing around lots of interesting information back and forth, and sometimes that might be in the form of video, of working through the steps of a dish to decide as a team sort of the best way to express something, or just reviewing, images that sometimes might be 300 images of one dish.
Could upload more videos to YouTube and actually probably use the editor better. I could just download more music quicker, wouldn't have to wait on anything, get everything done that you needed to get done without having to wait on it.
What kind of videos do you upload to YouTube?
Usually instructional videos for vintage electronics. Actually.
Oh, no way. What kind of electronics?
Like old radios and
oh, cool.
And things of that nature.
We're supposed to be watching a video on Darwin at home. A long video, like 2 hours at least. It takes forever to load up.
Wow.
So with Google Fiber, just there instantly, I can access all the information I need from the video whenever, right then.
Our homes in the future are going to be online. Your refrigerator is going to be online. Your thermostat's going to be online. Your, everything that you use is going to be talking to everything else. So that may be a part of it.
And can the fridge know what's in it so that it can print out something or send me like to an app on my phone so that when I go shopping, I just know what's in the fridge without having to open the fridge.
Yeah, we've all had that experience where we're in the store and you think like, do I have ketchup at home? I think maybe I do. I don't remember.
If you look at the 50-year, or at this point almost 60-year trajectory of the internet, the vision from folks like Douglas Engelbart, who were real pioneers back in the 60s, and Douglas ran the second node of the internet at SRI. I mean, his vision was always real-time collaboration for documents, video, text, all sorts of knowledge, sharing knowledge. And while it's gotten easier, mainly because of speed and better connectivity, it's still really hard. And the main problem does not actually seem to be software development. You're seeing really ingenious protocols, like WebRTC, which helps run Google Hangouts, but you're not seeing the kinds of real connectivity in places that could really enable a whole new round of really innovation and sharing by ordinary people.
So bringing it back to this question of bandwidth, what do we need?
I don't think there's any accurate way. I mean, the only thing that we can really predict in terms of what we need is an aggregate analysis of what we use now. Because we all know that services are changing on pretty much a daily basis in terms of what we use, and the volume increases so dramatically, so fast.
We all see the jokes about conference calls these days, audio-based conference calls, and there's a funny one going around right now. And video does reduce those awkward situations in audio conference calls, and then doing it high dev-wise could be incredible. On the personal side, I think that's even more significant. At the at-home user with that type of upstream and downstream bandwidth that Google Fiber would provide can do a vast array of things that they might not normally be doing, from file sharing associated with video clips and as well as pictures and digital photographs, to uploading of digital photographs and video, and from there, from video conferencing at home where you're actually communicating with loved ones. It's much more of a travel-oriented society now, so people don't live in the same communities they were brought up in. Allowing that video conferencing face-to-face and high definition at home could be pretty amazing.
You have underserved neighborhoods where a portion of the population currently doesn't have internet at all, and the possibilities that are enabled by free internet, which is one of the options that would come with Google Fiber, very high quality internet for free to those kinds of populations who are looking for work, who are trying to get access to education that they're not getting in the school, and trying to connect with families around issues like healthcare or new family members or things along those lines.
So, I mean, the bigger the files, the more expanding we do with our media, the bigger they get, the only more we're going to want.
You think we're all going to have laptops with like 10 terabyte hard drives?
I just bought a laptop. I bought a Asus, the Asus Republic of Gamers edition, and I bought one with is it terabyte? Not terabyte.
Yeah, terabyte. That's 1,000 gigs.
I believe I have. Was it a gig or? Yeah, I have one with a terabyte on it.
Wow.
And I believe I now will have, and I can maximize it up to 32 gigs of RAM. I don't know what to do with it all. I probably will never use it, but it's just in case for the future of things that do come out, and I will need that space.
Yeah.
So it's more of me doing a preemptive strike, but I'll never use a quarter of that power.
Yeah.
But just for the heck of it, I bought it.
And it's like anything in life. I think there are trade-offs that we have to always consider. We get more convenience, we get more efficiency, we get a lot of benefits from improvements in technology, like the kind of things we're talking about right now. They come with the trade-offs that you give up something for that. You are more connected to things.
And we asked people what they would say to Sergey and Larry if they had the chance to talk to them directly.
So closing question. If Sergey Brin pulled you into a hangout and he said, Mark, I can't decide which of the 7 cities in the triangle deserve
no, don't do this to
fiber the most. Mark, you're going to make the decision. Which of the 7 cities gets fiber first and why?
Oh boy, wow. This is like a classic psychological experiment, because of course I'm going to, selfishly I want to say Durham because that's where I live. I want it. But then if I think, what will best benefit the triangle, I could selfishly claim Durham because a lot of the Research Triangle Park is in Durham, within the county limits of Durham. An obvious choice might be Raleigh, just because it's the biggest city in the triangle. But you could probably make some pitches for some other areas where a lot of creative people live, and I'm dodging the question here, aren't I?
It's a very diplomatic response.
Thank you. It's as far as you're going to get out of me.
You're familiar with Sergey Brin, Larry
Yes.
Page, founders of Google.
Yes.
If they called you up and said, Mitchell, we're on the fence here. We can't tell if we should go here or someplace like Nashville or Chicago. Help us decide. Why should we choose Raleigh and the Triangle over Chicago? Right. What would you say in 30 seconds?
Raleigh is probably the most entrepreneurial, startup, energetic, committed city that I have seen. I'm about to work and leave for New York City, and I have to tell you, it is the most difficult decision I've ever made. This community gets it. They're so invested, everything matters, they care about everything, and we just see when people come here, they don't leave.
Is in Raleigh, and he walks in to Beasley's, and he says, Ashley, I'm really on the fence here. I need to know just how special the Triangle is. What do you think? What makes the Triangle tick?
It's an amazing city. I moved here to go to school at NC State and watched for years all my friends move away to be a part of more creative or technical communities, and it's been something that has just changed so much with the revitalization of this downtown area. As a restaurateur, I've got a ton of ideas and all these, interesting things that I want to see happen, not just for the sake of opening great places, but to be a part of a great city that's growing and changing. And this has really become a place where people have all these great ideas and dreams and things that they want to see happen here, and they're staying to make them happen. And it's become a city that welcomes that sort of thinking, and now not only encourages people to stay, but excites people about moving across the country to be a part of this amazing energy that happens in the center of this downtown and in all of the surrounding areas.
Awesome. So if you guys had Sergey Brin and Larry Page sitting across from you at a table and they were saying, hey guys, we're not sure about this whole Triangle thing, should we bring Google Fiber here? What would you guys say? What would your pitch be?
I think definitely. So Raleigh in 2014 was named the second fastest growing city in the country by Forbes based on population and job growth. And so I think that technology and tech companies and all of that's a big part of that growth and why it's happening. So I think to continue that growth trend, I think that's super important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's another reason why, one of our main sort of interview constituents are the young professionals and startups, which is what this meeting will be about. And the tables will turn back around and I will not be on camera.
We opened King's in 1999 when Raleigh was in its infancy as a burgeoning hub of intelligent people with a progressive attitude.
Yeah.
And the excitement of being able to have way faster internet service run by Google Fiber in our neighborhood and in our homes would probably be very accepting and exciting for the kind of people that are moving here and are going to continue moving here with places like Citrix and Red Hat right here. People want everything to be easy and they understand the power of the internet and what can be done with it, and it just seems like a sensible thing that could happen here.
I'm Paul Jones, and I'm a professor here at the University of North Carolina. I teach in two schools, the School of Information and Library Science and the School of Journalism and Mass Communications. Why I'm interested in high-speed fiber and higher-speed communication in this area while I'm at a university which arguably has some of the fastest bandwidth in the country is that everything we do doesn't stay on campus. Things need to get off campus and to enrich our entire community. Our students live off campus. I live off campus. The people that we serve live off campus. The people that serve us on this campus live off campus. We all need access to the resources that UNC is creating for the people of North Carolina with the funds from the taxpayers of North Carolina to help make this one of the best states in the country for business development, for innovation, for education, to raise your children, and to have a good life.
So if you could tell Google Fiber anything you wanted, if you had like a minute to tell them, hey, this is why it's most important to me and my family, what would you say?
For Google Fiber, I would say they need to come here. We could really use their internet and what we benefit from them. I mean, even if just one person gets it, they could share vast internet connection with other people. Like say if I get it, and I share it with my family, my friends, and I give them all internet, they see what Google Fiber internet can do, and they would buy it. I know they would.
And that, Google, could be the end of FIBEREDUP. Or it could just be the beginning. The decision is in your hands now. Personally, I can't wait to see what our community is going to do next.
All right, we're here on South Saunders leading into the city of Raleigh. I'm with Steve from Wake Forest News.
That's right.
And Daniel from WakeForestFiber.com. We got a couple Phantom DJI and Vision drones, and we're going to get some aerial footage of the city for FIBEREDUP.
There's a lot of things on my mind. It's a faster life and faster times. Only one thing will provide. Put fiber in my city. Put fiber in my city. Put fiber in my city.
Megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes are bigger. Got the need for speed, guaranteed to deliver. Performance way above the norm, it's fiber. No Kanye, the seven speaking through the wire. Trying to fiber up like Kansas, man. Raleigh needs to be next on the expansion plan. Broadband, no man, I'm thinking bigger. Faster and stronger for all my mouse clickers. Download instant, high definition, crystal clear pictures and endgame endless. My phone's my remote. Got a city in the cloud, foundation on the terabyte. I know you feel me now. It's back to the future, my grandma cybered up. Everybody's online buying all kinds of stuff. Trying to get my new song, low speed kinda sucks. Time to step it up, Raleigh get fibered up.
Living life at the speed of light. 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 Get fibered up. Get fibered up. There's a lot of things on my mind. It's a faster life and faster times. Only one thing will provide. Put fiber in my city. Put fiber in my city.